All right, everybody. Welcome back to season 2 of my show, the Leadership Blend television show with your host, Ricardo D. Rice. It is a whole nother season, and it is going to be an exciting season. I promise you, I have guests ranging from up-and-coming politicians to some of my dearest older friends who are sticking around to give us updates on what they've been doing. And there's a couple of surprises going to be thrown in. The objective this season is to show you that you can get to great places and still acknowledge the big man upstairs that got you there, which is the big God. So on today, I have a very special friend. You guys have heard her on my radio show. You guys have seen her all over the place because she's been all over the place. None other than the amazing Dr. Latarsha Holden. How is everything going, ma'am?
It's going well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you have to bring in your great friends first to kick everything off.
Awesome.
All right, so for those that do not know, we're going to get straight into her story about where she comes from, and she's going to tell us about how she went from homeless with six, not one, not two, not even three, but 6 kids to being a doctoral candidate and writing a host of books. So tell us about yourself, Dr. Holden.
Oh my goodness. I tell you, well, within the last 10, 12 years, I went from being homeless in the streets of Atlanta with 6 children to a political candidate in the 2017 election, from a GED to a doctorate degree, and became a 12-time published author. So it's definitely been a lot of work going on in the last 10, 12 years.
Look, we were just talking about that before we started rolling that. We've been friends now for about 3 years.
Yes.
And I met her when she was on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
One of my friends was working with her campaign, and I was looking for politicians when I was at Love 860. And they suggested her, and she walked on set, and we just fell in love.
Yes.
And
yes.
we've been friends and working together ever since. But her story is one that is so amazing that it had to be told. So I definitely want her to tell about how it was, raising 6 kids in the mean streets of Atlanta.
Oh my goodness. It was hard, the hardest time of my life, working my way up from rock bottom. I was 35 years old. 35 years old with a poverty mindset, filled with limited beliefs, uneducated and underemployed. So I'm at rock bottom. I don't know where to start. And so I just realized I had to do something to save my family. So I just made a vow that the streets was not going to raise my 6 children, nor the jails was going to house them. And so from then, I just came to my 6 children about 12 years ago now, and I was contemplating suicide, because I was embarrassed. Being homeless, we're not talking about for 2 weeks, 3 months. We're talking about for 2.5, 3 years. Matter of fact, when I enrolled in college, we was living in a boarded-up home as squatters. So it was definitely the hardest thing I had to do, but I just knew I had to do something to save my family. So I came to my 6 children, and I said, well, they didn't know I was contemplating suicide, but I wanted to leave my kids with something. That was my thought process then. And I said, well, I want to teach you all how to give back. I want to teach you all how to serve. And they were like, what are you talking about? We don't have anything. And I said, I know, but if I can teach you all how to give back now at our Lord's, I believe I've given you a strong foundation to build on and become great leaders. We had a newspaper clippings. We did events in the community around the Hurricane Katrina time. And out of that, I tell you, kids, they complain, so I really didn't think they was, I didn't really think they was taking in what I was giving. I gave them the only key I possessed, and that was service to others. And to my surprise, they turned around one by one. My son, he's 30 years old. He came to me his senior year in high school. He said, Mother, my way of giving back is joining the United States Marine Corps. He just retired after 10.5 years. Now he's pursuing a bachelor's degree to become a biology teacher. A daughter came to me and said, Mom, my way of giving back is going to the medical field. She's an EMT. She's in college, and she just got licensed as a pharmacy tech.
Nice.
Another daughter said, my way of giving back, by what you showed me, she's going to the human service field. So she's about to graduate in a couple of months with her bachelor's, and she joined the United States Army last year. And my 18-year-old daughter, she became a 2-time Christian published author by the time she was 16 years old. And she's currently in the Army basic training now. And my other son, he's a caretaker. And my last son, Omega, he's the end, the last. He'll be 8. No more is coming out the
Normally I would say something about that name, but you
Omega.
have justified naming him Omega.
And so he's a youth leader. He's a junior in high school. And for me, we were just discussing that, hey, next year he'll be 18. So for me, that's to see all my kids leading and living productive lives is a blessing.
But the thing is, you didn't. So the perception is that people are just homeless. Like, it just happens. Mm-hmm. But that's not the case with you. Like, take us to the beginning. Like, how did this happen?
Leaving an abusive marriage, verbal abuse, I was just beat down. I was already a person that wasn't organized. I mean, I dropped out in the 10th grade, had 4 kids by 22. So getting an abusive relationship just took my little self-esteem all the way down. When he left, I didn't know what to do. I was the black sheep of the family. I was the joke of the family, so nobody would help. And it made that journey just hard. We lived in cars, shelters, abandoned house. A friend of mine moved out of her apartment. She left the trash. We went in there for a night. And even a stranger, I believe they were angels, but even a stranger gave us a place to stay for one night. And I just remember one day we was riding down Cleveland Avenue, Metropolitan, and I heard a still small voice say, "Go to Berean Christian Bookstore on Cleveland Avenue." My kids in the back, where we gonna go? We tired. I'm crying. I don't know. I'm about to pull my hair out. I'm like, I don't know. And I heard the still small voice say, "Go to Berean Christian Bookstore. Your help is there." And I went to Berean Christian Bookstore, and I left the kids in the car, and I walked in. I was looking around, but I was drawn to this lady who was standing up reading a book. And I went to her, and I tell you, I tell this part of my story whenever I'm being interviewed, because I don't know whether they're angels, but I would definitely love to meet these people. And I told her what was happening about our situation. She said, "Well, hold on, let me go talk to my husband." The lady comes back, and she said, "Ma'am, do you have a car?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Follow us." When we went to their house for one night, you would have thought we was out of town guests. These people feasted. She went to the grocery store. It was almost like a Thanksgiving spread. And for one night, she gave us a place that we can call home.
Okay, so feast, 6 kids,
Yes.
randomness. Like what in that moment of alleviation, like you're able to actually lay your head somewhere. What was that like for you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I just for me, I guess just a sense of peace. We was tired. We've been riding around all day, and so I mean, it was just one night. Just that one night, God just gave us a place we can call home. And I remember the next morning, the lady they was Christians, and I think she said it was pastors or ministers. I just remember her praying with me, and she gave me $60, and she sent blessings to me on my way. And I would love to meet her. This was the beginning of my journey 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So for her to see me now and
Gosh.
know that one act of kindness being told
Look,
wherever I go.
That is something. So I mean, when you're out in the streets with 6 kids, like what is going through your head initially when this started?
Mm-hmm.
Because you had a pretty nice life. Tell us about your life before this.
Like I said, I dropped out in 10th grade. So I had 4 kids by 22 in abusive relationships. So my self-esteem was just, I'm the oldest of 3 girls in my family. But I was more like the Cinderella with the stepsisters. I was the one that, besides scrubbing the floor, just that Cinderella, that person that was mistreated, so to speak, or was not favored. Anything I did wrong, so I grew up with feeling like I was unworthy, I was unlovable.
And this isn't from a blended family. This is
my
straight
mom and
family.
dad. Yes, they've been together until she passed 3 months ago. But even on her, I don't know why I'm being led. Even on her deathbed, week before she passed, she came to me. And she knew I call it adult bullying. When you're a child and your parents are the ones that's making you feel low, to me it's like adult bullying. Mm. But I remember when I went to her house to go visit her because she had a stroke and a seizure. And I went to go visit her back in August. And when I walked in the room, we wasn't raised in the church, and I've never heard her talk about Jesus. But when I walked in the room and clicked on the light, she just started proclaiming Jesus as Lord. And then immediately I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, cool, yeah. And as I began to feed her, she said, "You're not evil." And at first I kind of I didn't pay attention. Then she said it again. Then my son was in, I said, "Hold on, Grandma, give me a compliment." And she turned and looked at me and she said, "You're not evil." She said, "You have always been a good-hearted person. And I apologize for how I treated you. I didn't love you like I did the rest." And and 3 days later with her, she had a seizure and she never came back out of it. So God, I tell you, I'm a small top woman. But when I walked out the door that day, boy, you couldn't tell me nothing. You thought I was a triple double D walking out that door. I waited 40-some years because they made me thought I was the worst thing going, but only God would give me that release.
But that's but that's a question though, because a lot of times the point of reconciliation is never made.
Yes.
So what did that do for you? I know how you felt, but what did that do for you moving forward?
Well, it may, the damage had been done because the family looked at me a certain way. She's already, anything I did, she blew it up to, and she knew. I think that's why she had to make peace with it. But at that point, I had been through the fire. When you out there raising 6 kids, I got to keep them from the drugs, the gangs. I had 2, when we was homeless, I had 2 kids in high school, 2 kids in middle, and 2 kids in elementary. Jesus. So I'm pulled several different ways, but I realized I had 12 eyes watching me. And I knew that I had a duty to protect them at all costs. And so it came with a lot of heartache. The struggle got so bad. I remember walking to a hospital in Clayton County, and I walked to the desk. I said, ma'am, I don't think I can do this anymore. She looked, she said, ma'am, are you saying you want to commit suicide? I said, yes, ma'am, that's what I'm saying. And I remember they keeping me for a week for observation. I wasn't raised in the church, so God and we got to know each other in this padded room in the hospital. So I went to the desk and I asked the lady there once they admitted me. I said, ma'am, can I go into that room? She said, ma'am, you're not threatening anybody. You don't have to go in there. I said, I know, but I need to go in there. And at that time, every day for that week I was there, I would drop down to my knees, cry out to God, whoever you are, please help me. I said, I don't have anything. I'm scared. And I tell you, my friend, when I left out of that hospital after a week for observation, I just remember going across the state with my associate degree, my BA, my MBA. But when I got accepted to the PhD program, it was at that point I wanted to high-five God and bungee jump up there and say, I can't believe, it was just, only God could have done that.
I mean, your story is astounding. So where were the kids while you were in the week?
My parents came and got them.
So they have a working relationship with their parents, with their grandparents?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. All right, so let's fast forward, because when I met you, it was you were running for office.
Yes.
What office were you running for?
City Council, District 11. Matter of fact, I ran for to see our mayor, Keisha Bottoms, vacated. I actually ran for her seat that she left to run for mayor. So I was the underdog in the race, but I made a vow. I said, God, if you bring me out of homelessness and hopelessness, I go back and fight for others. And so that's how I got into the race. I was the underdog. It was 8 of us. I wasn't scared. I think, when you've been through stuff with God, you know.
Okay, this is running for.
They were like, Dr. Holden, you're not scared they're going to say anything about you, because everybody else was kind of, in elite groups. They came from corporate America. They was known in the community. I was the only one that was actually from rock bottom. I said, no, at this moment, I know I'm on assignment. It no longer matter what anybody thought of me. Matter of fact, my personal life story is out there in the book form, even in a documentary form. So if they really want to know who I was, they can go check it out. But I tell you this, District 11 is the biggest district in Atlanta. You need about 40 to 50,000 to really make a good visible impact. I only had $1,500 to the lady who won 50,000. She had a full works. I didn't have a campaign manager, any endorsements, and she only beat me to the runoff by 400 some votes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so this is crazy. Mm-hmm. So outside of what makes a person who's been homeless with 6 kids, who's almost, or actually was in a psych ward for a week, get up and say, I'm running for office? Because I understand giving back, but you could have given back by going to a soup kitchen and feeding people. You could have made some sandwiches. You chose to run for office with limited education. What makes a person do that?
Well, at that time I had got my doctorate.
Oh, that's right. You were already in the doctorate program.
Yeah.
But still, what makes a person want to run for office?
Well, I had to be a voice. I think I wanted to be a voice for the homeless community, for those in the low-income community, a visual representation of someone that's actually been where the people have been at. And I think that's why I did good in the race. I did as well as I did. I was, and that was my thing. It was a big leap. It
was a gigantic leap that you took. But I mean, okay, so that's when I met you. I met you when you were on the campaign trail. I think you were fresh on it,
Yes.
and just your ideologies. Do you remember your platform?
Yeah, big on safe communities, affordable housing for the homeless, making sure that actually, we're not just building 500 units and 10 of for affordable, but safe community, affordable housing. Um, oh my goodness, it's two more. I just
Look, I'm super impressed you remember that because I don't remember. I don't remember.
Just better schools for the community I lived in. At that time, Thero High School was in my district. But just really wanted to be there where somebody can say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. It just reminded me, my story went viral on LinkedIn. Who's ever thought 3 months ago? I just posted a clip of basically I just told you in a picture of me with my degrees.
I remember that picture. I was like, wow.
Yes, and it had over 500,000 views within 2 months. And so people from around the world contacted me. But I always remember one lady. She was a Caucasian lady from Illinois. And she said, Dr. Holden, I just read your post. She said, I have 2 kids. I have a very supportive husband. She said, I have a PhD. And matter of fact, we have a large income coming in. But 2 months ago, we lost our jobs. She said, now this is the longest I've been without employment. So I'm getting a little worried. She said, but when I read your post, my stomach immediately tied into knots. Because I immediately started to think, what if I had 4 more kids? And I was homeless, without a husband, and without my degrees. She said, you changed my perspective, and I'll always remember you for the rest of my life.
That is amazing.
Because under normal circumstances, this lady probably wouldn't even pay me no attention.
Yeah, she's been gone by her day.
Yes, she's probably from well-to-do. She said she come from a pretty large income, so she probably wouldn't pay me no attention. But God used me, a little former homeless black lady in Atlanta, to change a Caucasian lady perceptive of herself and her experience from Illinois. So that right there was definitely stood out to me when she reached out to me.
Okay, so that's if you remember because I was just talking about the homeless situation on the radio show. You did it some years ago. Mm-hmm. When it came to finding help, how hard was it? Like government assistance, how hard was it?
Oh my goodness, we went to a shelter. We lived in a shelter for 3 months. Before it's government assistance, I really didn't see no programs that really helped. When our time was up at the shelter, it was up. We had 90 days there, and we just went back out.
Did you have to do anything in the shelter? I've heard that some of these shelters you have to pay a minimal fee or be there at a certain time to get a good bed.
Well, this shelter here, Decatur Cooperative Ministry, it was very clean. To me, it was almost like a home away from home. They didn't take a lot of. Some shelters take hundreds of people. This shelter was like maybe 8 families, so it was a very nice.
They still around?
Yeah, Decatur Cooperative Ministries in Decatur. The name of their shelter is Hager's House. Hager's House, and so that definitely gave me a little sense of stability for that moment, but it wasn't really that many programs out.
So your platform, well, what about now? So that's fast forward 10 years. What about now? Do you think the homeless system has gotten better, or is it still a thing?
I think it's still a thing. I think what Atlanta want to do is make them, and I say us because that's my family. You don't never really forget where you come from. That's where God brought me from, but I think they want the problem to be to go away, not really fix. If we can make them invisible, then that's what we're gonna do. And so that's why I ran for office. That's why I'm writing my books. That's anything I'm doing now from this day forward is to go back and try to continue to reach back and help others.
So let's talk about your books. Okay. So tell me about your books. You've written how many? 12?
Yes.
13? Tell me about the books. What is it, a series or is it like individual books that you were feeling for each moment? Tell me about the books.
Well, so we have my life story, No Longer Lost. And then I wrote a four children's book. My thing is I have 4 grandchildren. So I wrote 4 children's books to promote diversity, love and respect for each other and kindness. Then as a community advocate, the love I show my 6 children, I want to reach out to other children that probably never meet. So I wrote a 4-part youth series that deals with bullying, sex trafficking, teen dating violence, love and forgiveness. That's for 11 to 14-year-old. I have a book for ministry, a poetry book, and I have the training manual. This is the one I'm using here to go back and get into different organizations it's a workbook. So that's the one I'm using. That's my latest training manual I just wrote. And so just go back and show people the 7 steps that I put into place to go from point A to point B.
You want to share those 7 steps? Or
Yes.
two. That's share those seven.
Okay.
You
Let
can
me,
share those seven.
let me look here because I tell you.
Look, I have to read my own book
I
all
know,
the
right?
time.
I mean, basically like goal setting, time management, how to stay focused, how did I balance family and school balance, creating and speaking to a vision, service to others, and having a spiritual foundation.
All right, so we were into the points in your book.
Mm-hmm.
So those 7 points, you just was that what got you through, or
Yes.
that's
Of course, I definitely had to learn how to balance. I mean, I was a full-time student. I had 6 kids, homeless, so I had to learn how to balance. And I think that's why, and become disciplined. I remember one time my professor told a class that the world belongs to those who are disciplined. And so that's probably how I was able to write 12 books within a year and a half. I had learned that how to be disciplined, how to make the most of my time. And so that is definitely has worked for me.
I about to say you have 6 kids, like dropping them all off at different schools.
Oh my goodness.
How did you? I can't. I'm trying to grasp how you pull that off. Like, so for those moments where y'all were in between, how do you get 7 kids cleansed and cleaned and how did you pull? How did you manage to do that? Because I've heard Wendy Williams. She was like which I never knew, that she was saying that she would take birdies and rest stops between gigs. But you have 6 kids and yourself. How do you do that? Like.
Well, sometimes we stayed in a shelter. Maybe sometimes with family, a board up home as squatters. So we always had a little place here and there that we can 3 months here, 2 months there. But I do remember, while I tell you, it got so bad. The kids I basically took to school there was the 2 elementary school kids. But I remember we was riding, and my kids, we joke about this. I mean, I used to try to make it to school on $2 worth of gas. I'm crying, and I would just remember put in change gonna come, and I'm crying. We all sing the 2 little kids. They're like 8 and 6 and 7 in the back, and we're just singing change gonna come on my way to school. And I'm like, God, please don't let me break down. I only got $2 that I just put in the tank, but wow, I'm just excited that they really took what I've showed them and gone out into the world to be leaders.
This is true. All right, let's fast forward to today.
Okay.
The beautiful woman that sits in front of me today.
Yeah.
So what is life like now? What are you doing now?
Well, I launched a personal growth and personal development program called Phoenix Rising. So now I'm aiding others in changing the narrative for their life through coaching, workshop facilitation, and motivational speaking. So I'm just trying to go out there and give hope, inspire, and I even have guys call me. Reach out.
I was wondering about. I was
Yeah.
like, do you have? Is it just women
No,
that this?
no.
I mean, this story resonates with me.
Yes,
but yeah,
yes. Even when it went viral on LinkedIn, different races, men, women. All the way from Hawaii, Ethiopia, Kenya. People just want to know. Wow, you'll be surprised, and it was so strange that it went viral on LinkedIn because of the.
Yeah, that's not really the place that things
not
go viral on, because that's like the professional Facebook. So for it to be LinkedIn,
that's why the numbers was growing, but it let me know that a lot of people are hurting. They're pushing. They're scared. They're tired. They're pushing, and so I think my story just gave them some hope to keep going.
So is it in the future? What is your desire? To be in front of a room full of women, or just a room full of minority women, or just in general? Like, do you feel your story resonates just in general, or?
I think in general, I consider myself coming up as the next Lisa Nichols.
Who is that?
Motivational speaker. You don't know Lisa Nichols?
Look, I just found out who Les Brown was a couple of years ago. I ain't even
no.
front. I'm not even going to front. I just found out who Les Brown was a couple of years. I'm sorry, Les. I'm sorry.
But no, Lisa, so that's my thing, to travel as a motivational speaker, go do workshops and trainings, and definitely get my training manual to reentry program, GED program, homeless programs. And I just got into Fulton Atlanta Community Action Authority, where they bought a buck of them for their participants. And so the participants, like, I had one lady say, I carry this everywhere I go. If I just feel like giving up, I just go back. Because in each chapter, I intertwine a piece of my story so that it's like I'm walking with them.
Like, give me an example. Like what?
Well, I might say for time management. I might say, well, when I was homeless, I had to learn how to do this. I go into maybe a detailed scenario where I had to learn how to balance my time. Living in a shelter, how did I balance my time?
Nice, interesting. Any plans to run for office again?
Um,
You did so good the first time.
I
You know,
know.
I got more platforms now, so we can make this thing
we
happen.
might make it
One of us
happen.
got to run. Either you gonna run or I'm gonna run. One of us got to run because we got to win.
Well, you know what? I'm at a good place. You know, all the kids like again. Lord, y'all can tell I am excited. I've had 30 years of parenting. 30 years. So yes, I'm gonna be. All of my kids will be 18 and over next year. So I'm ecstatic. You can't.
You know, if it wasn't for your story, I'd be like, every woman says that until they have empty nest syndrome. But in your case,
yes, sir.
You're probably right.
Yes, sir.
You probably right.
I'm ready. I tell my kids, don't be offended. I'm so happy. But for me, this is really that God has allowed.
I just look, because there's a ministry element. Because you're a pastor too, so there's this ministry element that definitely plays into this. You know. So I get it. Look, I'm not gonna cry with you. Not on the show. I'm not gonna cry with you right now. But I definitely.
God allowed me to see. I mean, when you're young, you have that many kids. For God to have allowed me to see this time, you know, it's definitely a blessing.
Look, I get it. I celebrate you. I celebrate you. I definitely celebrate you. So glad that you're here. Your story is amazing. Like I said, we've been friends for 3 years, and it'll be another 20.
Yes.
Because once you're in my circle, you in. Which you know by now. Once you win, you win. I'm so glad to have you here. Your story is amazing, and I hope that everybody, mom, will see this, and her dad, and just know that there is a way when there doesn't seem like there's a way. Yes. And we just thank you and appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank everybody for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Blend TV show with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.